SouthMan. SouthMan never changes. Unless you're talking about that one Christmas special, Tidings. In that case, SouthMan does change a whole lot.
This is part 2 of our SouthMan podcast, Behind the SouthMan. We are doing part 2. Now, speaking of the background noise that you heard in the film, we have an interesting way of getting around that. So hear this.
That's interesting in the SouthMan series because in Colorado, the lady's house seems to be in a neighborhood, and you heard background noise, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but to tell the story, to explain things, the background, the behind the SouthMan stuff, you gotta realize that in post-apocalyptic Colorado in the SouthMan universe, they're starting to rebuild society. You're starting to see the rebuild of houses and homes and construction, and that's kind of what you're hearing in the background in the film. I guess that's the way I'm getting around that background noise that was interrupting our film. But society's rebuilding, and so you're starting to see kind of Colorado really coming back to their old roots, back to a normal human culture. And you remember in episode 5, he acquires the dog. The dog becomes the new companion. I think it's cool that my pet, my dog, Shoxy, is in the film. She is an actor. She's the sidekick of the story. And I think it's a cool addition to have a dog with SouthMan. You know, he's always traveled alone in all the episodes we've seen, but now to have SouthMan travel with a dog was a cool, I think a unique piece to this Christmas episode. And you're going to start seeing that a lot in episode 6, is the dog being on his adventures. It gets very interesting. Another thing to talk about is the music. You notice the music probably reminded you of that song, Hark the Angels on High. And that was the whole point. When my friend Connor created the music, I mean, he did a really good job creating a cover version that was supposed to sound kind of distorted and messed up a little bit, and like kind of almost out of tune, and kind of like you can't really tell what song it is. And I asked him to do that kind of on purpose, and so we created a cover version of that, and it's called Hark the Wasteland Angels Play, because it's more of a guitar, so it's, and I think that turned out being the best Christmas song for that. The whole rest of the music was actually stuff off of YouTube's free copyright music and royalty-free music. So, but that was, I think, by far a really interesting song for that episode. It really did work. All the rest of the songs, like I said, were from YouTube. Free music. I think it's important for us to get to the newspaper. This is probably where the biggest gold mine or secretness to the SouthMan series. What's really going on? Why is what was about this newspaper that it why was SouthMan a wanted man? Why is he a legend? Well, the legend piece, why is this newspaper saying SouthMan's a legend? During SouthMan's travels in between post-apocalyptic Oklahoma to Colorado, walking all that way, apparently SouthMan has made a name for himself. So like I said, there's some gaps missing between episode 5 and 5.5 and then into 6. SouthMan has become a legend. He's become known in the post-apocalyptic America. And how it happens, we'll have to, as you continue to watch the series, we'll have to try to flush that out, try to help I guess explain what happened in that in-between years, or gap in time. But apparently SouthMan must have made an impact on people during his travels, and that's why now he's become a legend. And you got Colorado building this legend, and now it's on the newspaper. Why is SouthMan a wanted man? This is a very interesting piece. I want you to listen carefully on this. SouthMan is a wanted man because of this one clip. It goes back to that treasure hunt trio film. I'd say recommend go and watch it. It's kind of silly and cutish and kiddish. But near the end of the episode, you can even skip it if you want to, but in the end of that episode of the first treasure hunt trio, the trio series, SouthMan somehow ties in or crosses over into the universe of treasure hunt trio. Not exactly, but it kind of connects. There's a crossover between Treasure Hunt Trio and SouthMan series. So how does that work when you watch this thing? There's a bonus called a bonus video at the end, kind of like post-credits scene. And in it, it's like inside a shop with an old car. And you see this guy in the mask, and he tells this kid, in a dupe, like trying to cover your voice kind of voice, tells the kid to turn on, to push the play button to a laptop, and then it plays the Treasure Hunt Trio movie, the beginning of the movie, and they're watching it. Well, during that time, that same man that you can't hear his voice with the mask, or covering his face, he's got a photo or a picture or a paper, and it has the word SouthMan, and then he has a lighter and he's catching it on fire. And then the next thing, he's cocking a pistol and he's walking out of the shop. But he tells this kid that you've never seen before in the series, who was inside this old car, to come out like he's a slave or a servant or something. And that's a key thing. What's happened is that communication of burning a piece of paper with the word SouthMan communicates a lot. Whoever this man is, he has some type of grudge, some type of hatred, some type of reason to want to get rid of SouthMan. And it has something to do, and I'm gonna be careful saying this, it has something to do with the past before the bombs fell. But we're gonna have to flush that out as you watch the series. I'm not gonna spoil everything. But anywho, he's obviously on a mission to take SouthMan out as he cocks the gun. But then you see the servant boy go in, find hidden somewhere keys. And he finds these keys, and he goes after the guy in the mask, the Sasset kind of dude, the guy that wants revenge on SouthMan for whatever reason. He goes over to a gate and he opens that up, and there's kids inside of there. As you notice really quickly, those kids are SouthMan's nephews, not his kids, sorry, his nephews. Why are they in a cage? Is that really where SouthMan nephews are? It's very much like if you want to watch that little video, it kind of can ruin things, spoil things. But we're still not sure what happened to his nephews. Maybe when they escaped out of that prison cell that they were in, they went to Bunker 88, they heard the radio signal, and they still went to Colorado. But we haven't really explained what happened. And to be honest, I still need to write the script and make it more organized so you can understand what's really going on. But the point is, this man who wants to kill SouthMan, a mysterious man that wants SouthMan dead. This guy is why on the newspaper it says wanted. It's like there's a message being put out there through the mail system that's come back in Colorado to let everybody know SouthMan's a wanted man. It gets deeper, and then I think this is the final breakdown of this episode. It's very important. SouthMan churns the newspaper, and he's in shock, kind of concerned that he knows he's a wanted man now, and confused by it. When he changes the newspaper, he notices something, and he sees a news about something about Sovereign. Bad news for the Sovereign. They lost one of their mighty kings. What in the world is that about? And what is the Sovereign? And why is there stuff about kings in the SouthMan universe? Well, I've been talking with another YouTube creator who made his own post-apocalyptic series, and that series is called It's called Shadowlands. And his main character is this character named the Stalker. And I don't have time to get into his series because this is not really about his series, but at the same time it kind of is. His post-apocalyptic series, we're trying to cross them over in the same universe. That means SouthMan universes exists in the Shadowlands universe, and they all exist in the same universe. It's very interesting. I wanted to do it. I was talking with him, and I'm kind of messaging him about it, and I decided to take that leap. And the newspaper is that connection. It's not big, it's not in your face, it's kind of subtle but simple. And the Sovereign has to do with the government system in the Shadowlands universe. They're kind of like a king and knights medieval system. And the Sovereign has kings, and these kings rule different territories. I think that's how I'm getting it right. And apparently the newspaper's saying they lost one of their mighty kings. And it almost seems like this newspaper is a little bit mocking the Sovereign with that statement. They lost one of their mighty kings. Which, if you watch later in SouthMan, you're gonna kind of understand why Colorado would have a little bit of making fun of the Sovereign. Maybe it's because they're a government system that's like kings and knights, and they're a Republican Democrat, perhaps. But you'll have to watch and continue. So that is the breakdown of the Christmas episode. You're going to see right after the Christmas episode 6 takes place right after that. There's not a whole lot of tie-ins there is, but you get to see the continue. So I know this was a long podcast this time, but that is the whole thing of that Christmas episode.